I don't know about y'all, but that little tune gets me hyped up every single time now. I know it's lame. I know I'm dumb, but it gets me hyped up. Anyway, welcome back to E2C Network Live, our Auburn Family live streams, which are at 8 p.m. Eastern Time every single Wednesday night since the dawn of time. We are here to talk to you, the Auburn family, about what is on your mind, your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your calls tonight on this show. We would love to hear from you on our Auburn Family live stream. So, welcome, whether you're watching live or on the replay. If you enjoy this type of content, we do ask that you support it by smashing that like button and make sure right now in our check-in period, a lot of you are already doing that. You pros that have been here for a while know this. Check-in period. Post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle, however you'd like to greet us, Rogue fans from time to time from other schools or hopping in on the chats. You are welcome somewhat as well if you want to join in on the discussion. That is what we're doing right now. So with check-in period, where you're from, with a War Eagle, that's what you can do right now. What's on tap for this show? Well, every Wednesday night is really just dictated by you. We'll give you the opportunity to use the call-in link here in just a second. It is brought to you by All Things Auburn. Our friends there will be sharing a special message about them and what they can do to help you get to Auburn on some of these upcoming football weekends. So that'll come up a little bit later in the show, but want to thank them for helping bring the Auburn Family live streams to you. Lots to talk about, right? Whatever you guys want to talk about. School is back in session officially for Auburn. Students are back on campus. It's kind of like the official kickoff for everything. There's an all-important scrimmage coming up with a lot of opinions about quarterbacks going around. I'm sure that will be hotly contested tonight. Let's keep it civil, folks. Let's keep it kind, because I understand y'all are frustrated about some things. Everybody's got a certain idea about who is or isn't the best quarterback. That's on tap. Other sports are getting going. There's things open up around campus and around Auburn. Really, I mean, you can just take your pick. This is the time of year where everything is just kind of coming full force at us, and we can talk about what you want to tonight. With that being said, I'm going to open up the phone lines for y'all to take advantage of. And I will tell you again, this is probably one of those nights where don't hesitate to get your call in tonight. Because I will probably cut off just like right on time or a few minutes early because of some scheduling stuff. But I would encourage you, if you are going to call in tonight, do so. So the call line is open now if you would like to take advantage of that. All you have to do is click at the link in the chat right now if you would like to take advantage of that. On camera, off of camera, whatever you'd like, you can do so now. Let's say hello to a couple of people. Got Dusty, Corey, Linda, Aker, Thomas, Rob. Good to see you guys. Brian Fletcher from Minnesota. That is one of the new ones. Devin from Texas. Good to see you. So we got Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Minnesota, Florida checking in here. I mean, this is a good representation of the Auburn family all around the United States. Hopefully, every once in a while we'll get somebody international in here. We had some individuals from Israel during the basketball games that happened join us. So that was really, really cool. Hopefully we'll get some of those in the future. And my friend Blake from Prattville. I forgot you in Prattville now, Blake. But we go back, way back. Love talking basketball with that dude. All right, Corey says, looks like people think Finley is going to be quarterback. I don't really care as long as they get the right one in place to win. I mean, yeah, I think that's a great way to sum it up. I think everybody's, whether they want to say it publicly or not, approach should be support whoever the quarterback is. Don't badmouth them. Don't jump at the first opportunity to, say, aha, I told you so, when they make a mistake or they lose a game or things like that. Just give it time. Let it figure things out, So here's the other thing. I did my prediction video at the beginning of fall practice on purpose, knowing that something like this was going to happen, right? I knew that they were going to have a shift somewhere at some point during the quarterback race. But, I predicted, as most of us were, that Zach Calzada at the time was going to be the starting quarterback because that's the information we were getting. That all seemed to point that direction. How things have changed in fall camp, which is why you should never, ever, ever write someone off until the fat lady sings. And the fat lady has not sung yet. For TJ, for Robbie, for Zach, I would say Holden is probably, from what I'm hearing, not going to be the starter this year. Heaven forbid there would be a rash of injuries. But that looks like it's going to happen. Yes. So TJ is likely, based off what we are hearing rumors-wise, media-wise, discussions when you listen to Coach Harsin talk about it with the players. There's even been some posts on social media from individual, athletes that have kind of, I even posted yesterday on my personal Twitter account. I was like, does it feel like there was I called it just something big, but like a seismic shift that happened in the quarterback race today? I'm not saying that someone was named, but what I think happened is they had a quarterback meeting, first day of classes. They all kind of came back from meetings, took the day off to get ready for school, but came together for their meetings. And in that quarterback meeting, each one of them was told where they're at right now and what they have to do left to win the job. And I think it probably clearly told you, if you kind of read into that, some tweets and other things, that TJ finds himself in the front position with Zach and Robbie trying to catch up. And I think Zach's probably still in that second place position. That's just my interpretation of it. So we shall see what happens, but there's an all-important scrimmage this Friday. Robin, good to see you from Albany, Georgia. Thanks for checking in. Let's see here. Harsin will snatch him out of it if they get too bad. Absolutely. We've seen him do that. Thomas, great point that Jeremy Wright is back on the offensive line. Defense. I can't keep it straight at this point. Like literally, it feels like, here's the problem. If you guys haven't been paying attention on our YouTube channel, I've been giving you guys daily videos of breaking down the roster. Now, I'm not talking in them, but it's giving you the overall roster at each position. So we've done quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers, running backs is tomorrow. The one after that I have planned for Friday at this point is offensive line. But I'm not even sure that I need to do that one yet, because it seems like there still could be some shifting around that goes on there, as we just talked about here. But Jeremiah Wright, I hope they figure out where to put the dude, because my goodness, he has just bounced around offensive line, defensive line, offensive line. It's just can't figure out exactly where to stick a talent like him. Just see. If correct, this doesn't look good for Auburn bringing in 2 from the portal. I guess you're talking about the Jeremiah Wright thing. The other thing about this is, and I got to apologize to my Booster Club members. I think all of y'all are probably privy to the information that it looks like Nick Brahms may be having some injury bug issues, rear its ugly head again for him, which is so sad, with him deciding to come back and take another year to be here with us. But this move may not even be a Jeremy move like he wants to do it. It may be a necessity move for us in terms of depth there. That's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, that's kind of what based on what we're all kind of seeing and hearing online. I'm wondering if that's not the position. So bringing in 2 from the portal, if that's what you're talking about, offensive line, maybe so. I don't know. Michael, good to see you from Pell City, all over Alabama tonight. How are Thanos? Well, I know Thanos is the nickname goes with Jeffrey Imba. Bad Moon Jones. Who am I missing? Bad Moon Jones. Progressing on the defensive line. Jones. Oh, Jason Jones. Okay. Jeremy, last that coach said in his press conference was, I forgot. I never did apologize. I said I was going to apologize to our Booster Club members. I got that information this weekend, and every night I got to tell them. And of course, it started breaking out on, social media. Yesterday really is when it kind of started circulating. So anyway, that's my apology to you guys. Normally I get you guys that stuff a lot quicker, and it just been busy. How are Jeremy Imba, Thanos, and Bad Moon Jones, Jason Jones progressing on defensive line? I haven't heard a whole lot about Jason Jones other than just like a name drop here or there. Jeffrey Imba. What was it that coach said about him in his press conference? I'm trying to remember. It was this last one that he did after the first scrimmage. What did he say? It wasn't really anything super profound or anything like that. Just that he's sticking out to the coaches, which is what you want to see, right? Update us on the recruiting for the 23 class. Well, you've got 7 recruits, right? You've got 4 defensive and 3 offensive line. You've got 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 offensive lineman. You've got 2 edge rushers, right? 2 edge rushers, and then a traditional defensive lineman, and then a defensive back, safety wise. So that's kind of what it looks like right now. Most people seem to think that there's not going to be any recruits committing to us anytime soon, but you never know what they're kind of working on. Never doubt old Zach Etheridge and Trevon Reed, what they got cooking. As he said, we ain't done yet. Let's see. There's a lot of QB talk going on, but there's still a scrimmage left to go. We don't know what's going to happen yet. And after the scrimmage, we should have a clearer picture. Agreed. Hold all your solid opinions. You know, opinions are what they are, right? They're only as good as you take them, and you go from there. You heard rumor of some more Calzada injury. It could be the case. It absolutely could be the case. All right, we'll get back to some of your comments and questions. We got our first caller tonight, and this is one that I am so happy that is calling in because we've been trying to get her out of the kitchen. Evan, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? How's the kitchen treating you?
Oh, fine. I didn't have to cook today, so my husband brought dinner home. You gonna say hello?
How kind of him. Hello. How are you?
Good.
War Eagle.
Eagle Park.
Say War Eagle.
Eagle. How are you, buddy?
Auburn shirt.
That's an awesome Auburn shirt. I wish I had that in my repertoire. I love that. Looks good. All decked out, ready for the fall. Who's your favorite? Who's his favorite football player? Does he have one yet?
Oh yeah, he's not there.
He don't care. He don't care.
He's at that point where he sees any sports on TV and he's like, football.
Football. Well, that's cool.
So he sees basketball on TV and he's like, touchdown. No.
Well, viewers, if you guys have something specifically you'd like me to ask Devin while she's on the line, you feel free to post in there and I'll try to hit it up. But what's on your mind, Devin?
Okay.
What you got there?
Yeah. Is that a baseball?
A baseball.
Is that an Auburn baseball? Of course it is. Of course it is. Teaching them right?
So I just wanted to talk about the QB battle.
Yes.
That battle. Well, so I was on a space the other night, a Twitter space. Yeah, I was like, I don't know how any of these people are Auburn fans because it was just like ridiculously negative. And I was like, I mean, it's hilarious to me. I was just listening, and first of all, everyone thinks that all our quarterbacks suck, but who sucks the least is like the the overall attitude, and that's just frustrating to me because like they're not giving TJ Finley is the one that gets the worst rap.
Yeah.
And people don't seem to think that he has any ability to improve at all.
Yeah. I wish I could tell you, Devin, that this is something new for Auburn fans, but it's not. I saw, if you didn't see this coming, this is.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
it's very frustrating because this is the same quarterback that everybody was screaming last year. Hey, put him in. And now you got your time and you're judging him off of 4 games last year where he was given a bad rap and expecting him to be a world beater. If he wins the job, let's give him a little bit of time to figure it out. That Penn State game, if he wins the job, is going to be probably the marker, just like it was for Bo. Are we progressing in the right direction? The answer for Bo last year was not really. So if it gets worse, we're going to put TJ in for a game, and that's what happened. And then Bo won it back. So
right.
Will that same thing happen? I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, Michael, this is my life. So
I understand.
So I would be thrilled if TJ won the starting job because that means he improved enough where Harsin had enough faith in him to win the starting job.
Right.
So I would be thrilled for him, and whoever is going to win, I think Thomas said that whoever's going to put us in the right place to win, that's who we want.
Absolutely. There's a little bit of this trusting the coaches thing that, and I say this as someone who probably was more gold in my descriptions of Auburn quarterbacks back in the day, and I thought that I could have been a little bit nicer at times too. So I kind of understand where a lot of these people are coming from. When it's funny, you talk about Twitter, and I'm not sitting here saying that everybody on there is bad or anything like that, because I'm on Twitter too. But I've just found when you are hiding behind a handle where there's no face, that's why I like this so much, because everything I say is you guys can clip it show it on the internet. So I have to make sure that I'm being on. And I'm trying to be truthful, but I'm also trying to be productive in my criticism and stuff like that. In the Twitter space, it's a free for all. Nobody's ever going to know except for my handle. I'm protected. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah. And I'm not saying our quarterbacks are all amazing and elite and they're all going to be drafted, but saying they all suck and TJ, the most games they're going to win with TJ is like 4 or 5. You don't know. You just don't know that.
Yeah. Well, that's a defense mechanism.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm looking forward to see, and like I said, I am happy for TJ that he is showing improvement and we should be happy for him that he's showing improvement in his game. I feel kind of bad because I've been listening to Zach Blackerby, the Locked On Auburn podcast.
Love Zach, yeah.
And he's just been saying that Zach Calzada doesn't seem to be performing as well as I guess most people thought he should, or as well as we thought, which is kind of I feel kind of bad for him. That's got to be frustrating.
Right.
Go
ahead.
Because I mean, I was not hoping, but I was leaning more towards Zach Calzada, but obviously he's not, working out as well as we thought. So then, I'll support whoever they choose, but it's got to be frustrating for him to transfer here and then have to, sit on the bench or be second string or whatever he ends up being.
Yeah, and it could be injury stuff too. I think it was Thomas alluding to earlier. Yeah. It could be maybe he is the better quarterback, but you can't throw a guy out there when you got 3 other great options, that are healthy and probably even as good as Zach might be. He's still a liability if he's not completely ready and healthy. So throw TJ out there, especially if he's improved. The funny thing about this to me is, the first thing people were saying when you shared that video of him throwing the pass to Camden Brown that was circulating around, it's oh, we're going to get all up in arms over one thing. Everybody is all excited because of one clip. I'm like, but y'all were the ones getting excited over video of him and of Calzada and his coach throwing against no pressure and acting like those were the best throws in the world. So it's all who's got the biggest one-liner? Who's got the biggest comeuppance? Now it's just everybody needs to chill.
I know. Well, and that's what I guess is frustrating about the off season. Everyone just talks and talks to death, and I'm like, just play the game already. Just, we're done talking about it. So
exactly.
It just
Well, let me shift this here. Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
We can round out our conversation here. Brian asks, and he's just asking it generally, but maybe you can give an answer. He says, help me. I'm negative on Harsin. Give me a few reasons for optimism. I need an attitude adjustment. I like that. I like perspective of understanding. Hey, I'm negative on him, but help me understand. So, Devin, take it away.
Well, I guess I'd have to know why you're negative on him. What was it? His record last season? Was it what was it? So,
if I'm guessing, it's probably recruiting related. That seems to be the thing.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. So, I'll tell you the reason I like Harsin is mostly because of his communication and how he communicates to the media and to people. I appreciate a straight shooter. He doesn't take any BS from anyone, and
that's true.
And he doesn't do a lot of coach speak, as they say, whatever that, is. He just, tells it how it is. And I think, I never hated Gus, but I also never listened to his press conferences really, or really paid attention to what he was doing.
Yeah.
But I was really interested in Harsin as a new head coach. So I started listening to his press conferences, and I really love the attitude that he brings to the locker room.
Yeah.
And as far as the record last year, the players all said this too, that there were people in the locker room who were not on board, who were not in it, who were not, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And so they left.
Right.
And the players were pretty candid about that, calling him, cancer in the locker room, even a little, that conveys, what they thought about it,
Yeah.
So I feel like that played a part in the rest of the year. As far as in-game decisions, I'm not really a football expert, so
Yeah.
but
Hey, you're
I enjoy
breaking
the
up a little
game.
bit, Devin. You're breaking up on us a
Oh.
little bit. So we're hearing most of it, but it's pretty garbly.
Okay.
So give it one more go at it. But it kind of got a little bit clearer for me for a second. But give it one more time.
Better? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. It's just a little bit garbly.
Okay, give me 1 sec.
That's actually better right there, whatever that was. So give it a try now, if you want to. It sounded like Max Headroom. That's funny. If you're lining up in the call line, we'll get you in there in just a second. There you go, Devin. That's a little bit clearer now on my end. So
better now?
Yeah. All right. So go ahead and finish your thoughts that you had there.
Our internet is I don't know what's going on with our internet, but anyway, so I'm not like a huge play calling expert or anything like that, so I can't really speak to his play calling during games.
Yeah.
But I do know that so it seemed like Gus wanted control over all the play calling. He did all the play calling, where it seemed Harsin left it up to Bo or the offensive coordinator Bobo. Yeah. And I mean, so, you kind of got to put responsibility where it should be,
Right.
I understand it all comes back to the head coach, but he has offensive coordinators for a reason.
Right.
And, defensive coordinators, and they're making those decisions. So, I mean, it's kind of like the quarterback. It's not all on him. A lot of it does fall on him, but it's not all on him. Mm-hmm. So, and then recruiting, I'm going to start on recruiting. Give me a break.
I can address these for him. Two of these things, record last year and recruiting, require patience. And Brian, trust me, you're talking to a guy right here who's the most impatient person in the world. So those two require patience. You can't really fault him for last year. It's his first year in a transition year. Recruiting takes time as well to get back to where it was.
Yes.
In-game decisions, you can actually get a little upset about that. But in my mind, he's made those corrections already. He fired Cornelius Williams. He fired / got rid of, encouraged to leave Derek Mason and Bobo, who were clearly not getting the job done. Brought in some other talent as well. So those in-game decisions, we really need to give him some time as well. But he's already made those adjustments because even if we don't see the fruits of it yet, they weren't working. So those in-game adjustments are going to change because of the coaching and things like that.
Yeah.
So we do have people lining up for calls. But thank you for calling in, Devin, tonight. It's good to hear from you. Glad to get you out of that kitchen.
Yes.
All right,
War Eagle.
War Eagle. All right. Good to hear from Devin again. If you, I'm getting used to these new controls here. They're all a little bit wonky to me. If you're wanting to call in, hit that link up. We'll get you in the queue in line. We'll put you in the order that you call in. So you may have to wait just a minute because every once in a while we get a lot of people that want to call in. Don't be shy, though. I don't bite too hard. Real quick, though, because I have a feeling we're going to start getting a row of callers here. Let me go ahead and mention our friends at All Things Auburn. You want to go check them out because they are a place for you to stay at Auburn. If you've ever seen those, it's called I'm blanking on it now, Auburn Game Day Center, right behind Mama Goldberg's. This is where they operate out of. You want to go over there. If you want to stay over there, really close to all the athletic facilities, allthingsauburn.net. You want to visit them for your game weekend. I would say game day, but game weekend accommodations. And they have recently said that there's still some availability if you're coming to town. So hit them up at allthingsauburn.net so that you can potentially stay where the magic happens here in Auburn, Alabama. All right, let's get our next caller in. He's a regular here. He's our good friend, Mr. Dusty. How are you doing, sir?
How are you? Good evening, buddy.
Good evening to you as well. How are things going for you?
Everything's good, man. I'm blessed. How about yourself?
Blessed and very much so. What is on your mind tonight, sir?
The center position. This is something that I see Thomas's comment. I agree with him. I like all the new stuff you're doing on the channel, buddy. But this is a good question for Thomas as well, because I know he was real in depth, giving us all those breakdowns and stuff. So if it's gonna be Tate Johnson, right? That's his name. I'm saying it correct, right?
It's Tate Johnson, and then who was the other one?
Council's getting reps too.
Was Irvin getting mixed in there too at one point?
No, they've moved him to guard. Basically, they've given up on that.
Where did I see that then? Maybe that's last year's.
I think he was still getting. He was when it first. I guess when the Nick Brom stuff first happened, that kind of was a thing. But my understanding is over the last couple of practices, it's been it's been Tate. So my question with Tate though is 285 too small to be a center in the SEC?
That's a great question. I am not a pro at offensive line schemes. I mean, you look at me, you can tell that, right? I will tell you that based on my knowledge of college football, of football in general, traditionally your center kind of is the smaller of your offensive linemen, your tackles being the guys that are usually the taller ones, maybe the heavier ones. In some regard, there's no like catch-all when you describe the offensive line, but in my mind, as I've always known it, the center is a little bit quote unquote undersized compared to the rest of the offensive line for a variety of reasons. So is 285 too small? That's the bigger question, not that whether he's small or not. I don't know. I guess really when we get up against, we may not see it against Mercer, San Jose State. You maybe not even see it against Penn State because I really haven't looked at their defensive line talent this year. It may be that LSU game where we really find out if Nick Brahms is hurt more than we hope or more than we think he might be, and it's still a Tate Johnson or whoever else in that role. How much that is a difference? What about you? What do you think?
I worry about it because, and I know that a guy like this is a freak, but you think of a guy like Jordan Davis from Georgia last year. It's like, man, I would feel more comfortable if it was 10, 15 more pounds on him. And I know that I saw they're already been practicing a lot of zone schemes with the offensive line, kind of trying to account for that and create some different stuff. So, it's just the Brom stuff that kind of happened to my Bucks too. They lost their center the first day, lost him for the season in camp. So I got two centers that are out, and that's just
So I'm seeing a common denominator here. I think we're gonna have to get rid of you.
Hey, I promise I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes. But
if it'll give my Tigers a win, I will leave.
Devin had called in right when I put this comment, so you probably didn't see it.
Probably not. What'd you say?
KG on the Bucks roll kick. KJ Britt has been the most improved player at Bucks camp, and he's probably worked himself into a starting role, just kind of depending on our scheme because you've got Levante David and Devin White who are both Pro Bowlers every year. But he's definitely worked his way up to third on the linebacker depth chart, and he's getting a lot of reps. So
KJ is one of those guys when you think back to Auburn players that not only were good athletes but good at their position, but also as far as we can tell, we don't all know them personally, but as far as we can tell, just a really good guy. So when you see a guy like that represents you on the field, off the field, getting that opportunity continually in the NFL at the next level, that just kind of makes your heart warm. At least it does for me. Yeah. So that's awesome. I love hearing stuff like that.
Well, he definitely put in the work because he's improved a lot in pass coverage, which was his biggest negative on his scouting grade. So he's worked a lot on his pass coverage. They say he's improved a lot in it. The first preseason game, he had the green dot, meaning that he's getting all the play calls. So he ran the defense for like 3 quarters and did great. So
yeah, it's I hope that KJ continues to progress so we can see more and more Auburn players. We're getting used to seeing a lot of them down there in Florida because you got your Carlton Davises, and wasn't Javaris Davis down in the Florida team for a while too? Wasn't he down there?
I don't know, but I know that Nehemiah's next.
Nehemiah Pritchett.
So, yeah.
Ooh. Noah Igbenogany was at one. Is he still with the Dolphins?
He's at Miami, but he's definitely been struggling.
Okay. Well, he at least got drafted high and got down there.
Yeah. And then, in the quarterback battle, it's I get where everybody's coming from because even a guy like Stidham who came in highly rated and all that and had a good first year, I would say he regressed a little bit his second year. Mm-hmm. And then if you think back,
that bowl game where he just went bonkers.
Yeah. Well, we definitely put it on Purdue that we could have scored 100. What was it, 52 at halftime or something like that?
It was something like that. I think we scored 10 in the second half.
Yeah. And then you think back to Nick, and Nick was good both years, but there wasn't it was just a gimmicky offense. And I love Nick. He's my favorite player. Other than Cadillac, he's my second Auburn player ever. So I'm not knocking Nick. I'm just saying it's, he only had to throw the ball. We beat Tennessee one time where he was 2 for 3 passing. So you didn't have to see progression in the passing game. It was just set up. It was just a different deal. It was a triple option out of the shotgun, fast pace. It hit everybody upside the head. It was nuts. So if you take, so there's really nothing to see with that. So you got to go all the way back to JC 03 to 04 progression. So I get where people are coming from. We haven't seen that kind of progression at quarterback for a while. And our previous staff got a lot of knocks, some fair, not, but
right
about them getting big time recruits, because Gus recruited very well. And other than offensive line last couple of years, but
no, not well at all. In offensive line.
And that's Devin, me and you have talked about it, and I get what everybody's, but you can't ignore where recruiting's at right now. It's not good, and this is not 2010. It's not where the majority of the recruits are going to sign on February 2nd. They're all 90% of these kids are committed to where they're going to go at this point. So if you look at all our top guys right now, we're trying to flip like 6 kids. So It's just, that's not a position you want to be in. You want to be the team that they're trying to flip them from. We are really behind, and I'm not, that's not Brian Harson's fault. I don't think. I think a majority of it has got to be an investigation in February. Like even if you were going to do it, you've got to know that you're going to kill your recruiting. And all the recruiting experts said at the time, this is probably going to kill Auburn's recruiting, and it has.
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming Brian, but what I'm saying is you can't ignore the position that we're in. It's not good. It's just not. So
no. I think we, I think,
and you can't diminish one more thing. You can't diminish the importance of recruiting. You just can't. If you look at the teams that win, then you look at where they finish in recruiting, and there's a direct correlation. You have to get talent.
Yeah. And I think where people who probably find themselves more in my position of kind of maybe trying to bring a little bit more, not calm, but just, optimism. How about that? Optimism about the situation right now. It's not that we're saying that it's not bad right now. It's just, at least I can speak for myself, understand that the context of what we chose to do. We chose to change head coaches in the middle of a pandemic year and then expected it to turn around immediately. That was a once in a lifetime season for Gus. He had his players coming back. You can't deny that. I mean, that's what happened. So it's not going to happen again. When you have all these factors that are fighting against you, you only made the uphill climb that you already had from where to dip to in those last part of the Gus years even harder by trying to transition. And then that little bit of progress you made, even after a bad end to the year, tanks again when you have whoever it was. Doesn't matter who it was, but it happened. Whoever it was, get the stuff started that happened this offseason. So yes, it is not in a good place overall. I just have a lot of faith that the groundwork that's been laid for the recruits that are to come is going to follow through. And I think you've seen that with some late commits from Big Cat Weekend. And I'm hoping that's what's going to happen, because if we roll off 5 straight wins,
I definitely agree with you there.
That is going to be like, okay, they're taking care of business at home. So at least I know when I come to Auburn, home field, man, it's going to be popping. We win. Even against maybe, some teams that aren't that great at the moment, but they're still big programs. Penn State, LSU, Missouri is an SEC team. That's going to pay dividends.
That Missouri game, that game scares me. And we'll get on,
It's a homecoming game. It should scare you.
It's scary. I mean, it's just sandwiched right there, and everyone's kind of writing it off. And I don't know, but there's going to be a ton of recruits at Penn State. And that's going to be such a crazy atmosphere. Like, you can, like you said, you win these games, man, you're definitely going to be able to flip it around. And the thing that I'm optimistic about on the recruiting thing is the NIL seems to finally be coming together. We just hired the guy that was Gus's right-hand man to take control of the NIL situation and run that new group. You've now got a new group that seems to be a little bit more organized, know what they're going to do. Right. And then you've also got a thing that it's not going to show up right away, but it will over a season or two if we're patient and give it the time, is hiring the Dallas Cowboys scouting director to run it as well. That's something that's not going to boom overnight, but it will definitely, it's just a positive. It's definitely going to work. It's like with the eye killer hire. It's just like, okay, that's going to work. There's no way that's going to fail.
How do you say that guy's name? Drew Fabi. How, do you know how to say it?
I'm not even going to take a swing at it.
Fabi. I don't even have it spelled in front of me, so I can't even try it at here. Maybe I'll pull it up here in a second and give it a try.
So I just think, I think that if we give that time, and then you can't blame Auburn for the NIL being behind, because it just happened. Like it just came. There wasn't a whole lot of rules. Me personally, I still think you're going to see. I think next offseason you're going to see some pretty big rule changes to the NIL, at least in the conference. just because if you remember at SEC Media Days and coming out of the coaches' meetings in Destin, the commissioner talked so much about every single coach said this has to be fixed. There's got to be some rules. There's got to be some guidelines. They're not even involved. The coaches aren't even allowed to be involved. So it's just the booster. So it's just this whole thing. And so it sounds like behind the scenes, all that stuff's getting more organized, and that stuff's important. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. We can't just bring kids to the campus anymore and sell this beautiful campus and this family atmosphere. That's a part of it, but now we gotta have the money to back it up too. So I think all that stuff is moving in a positive direction. And like I told, it may have been my conversation with Devin about recruiting on Twitter. The one thing is winning cures everything, no matter what. I've seen it in every sport. You take a guy like Urban Meyer, who is a world-class butthole. I mean, this guy could not be any more of a negative kind of – I mean, you know what it is. You see the reports out of Jacksonville. But that guy won a ton of games in college and nailed recruits because he won. And there's stories about how bad he was at Ohio State. It wasn't. It didn't just happen in Jacksonville. But he won, and you never heard a peep about all of that until he lost in the NFL. Like, winning just erases so much. Kobe and Shaq never liked each other. You didn't hear about that till they weren't winning titles. Like, it just cures everything, man. So if we go out there and, like you say, we start 5-0, all that noise goes away. And then everyone's down on us right now, but you know how it goes, Kyle. If Auburn wins 3 or 4 games, they're going to, oh, man, Auburn's back and all this kind of stuff. So
the media will jump on that.
If we beat Penn State, that's what it'll be.
Yeah, media will jump on that real quick because they don't want to have to be, facing the music, so to speak, at the end of the year. If Auburn were to go on a run and continue that run for the rest of the year and then have, us throw it back in their face. Look what you did, huh? And they'll use it too. The team will. If you don't think, I forget his name, the creative director, he's a young guy, but you don't think he's got something primed up with that, statement of showing us last in the SEC West and ready to go for the end of the season if this thing turns around?
And I would bring Butch in with that too. I'd make a little clip with Butch, like, hey, every time y'all put us in 7th, huh?
That'd be look at you. You need to get hired now. This is an interview for Dusty for the creative team at Auburn Athletics for Auburn football.
There might be a little more trash talk than they're ready for.
Well, that's probably fair. Hey, Dusty, thank you for calling in tonight, buddy. Always good to hear from you.
All right, man. Appreciate you, buddy. War Eagle.
War Eagle. All right, there we go. I got to get used to these controls about how I switch from things back. In fact, we got another call we're going to let in just a second here. I do want to take the opportunity, though, to remind you guys tomorrow night, live again, second half of the season preview. We're going to be doing that live. So come back. We'll be doing games 7 through 12, maybe just a little bit of predictions about, postseason and stuff like that. But hope we'll see y'all tonight. All right. We got another caller after that. So let's go ahead and get to him here. Let's talk to our next one. Mr. Kevin, how are you, sir?
Hey, War Eagle, how you doing?
How you doing? Where you coming from? A cave today? You're in the dark.
I'm coming from the church.
The church. Well, I guess I can't fault you then. If you're coming from the church, you can be in the dark as long as you go into the light, right?
Yeah.
What's on your mind tonight, Kevin?
The quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks. Who you got? What's your thoughts?
Zach Quesada will be the starter.
Why do you think Zach? Because I'm not saying you're wrong, but all the indication is that TJ is ahead of both Robbie and Zach. And there's even discussion about Zach. Maybe his injury's not all the way ready yet, or, just that's a rumor. I'm not saying that's true. So why do you think Zach?
Because TJ got in trouble.
He did. Did we, you may not know this, Kevin, but just like a collective question to everybody watching, did we ever figure out, did they just kind of sweep that under the rug? Because my understanding, it was kind of a misunderstanding in terms of it wasn't that big of a deal. It was kind of a stupid decision on TJ's part. So it really wasn't.
He did not have no helmet riding his moped.
Was it really that? Did he not have a helmet and then just ran? See, that's the kind of stuff that's just it's a mistake. It should never happen. But, it's just I wish that wouldn't even gotten out there, because it's just something that should be handled internally. Now, if he did something seriously wrong, then obviously that's probably important for us to know and why and that kind of stuff. But it's just it was an unfortunate way for him to start off his year, right? But hopefully that's all. I mean, it seems like that's under the rug because he's getting first team reps. So maybe you're right. I mean, Zach can prove us all wrong in this second scrimmage. So we'll see.
And I like the wide receivers group.
Did you watch a video I put together for you guys about all of the wide receivers that are on the roster?
Yeah.
Did you see who on there did you like?
My favorite is Coy Moore.
Coy Moore. It's hard to say. Coy Moore.
Cedric Jackson.
I am a big Cedric Jackson fan. Now, I don't think Shed is going to be our leading receiver by the end of the year. At least, frankly, I think if he is, and this is not a knock on Shed, I think that's a problem for us because he's one of those guys. I equate him a lot to Cody Burns when he came over to wide receivers. Yeah. And Cody was a very reliable wide receiver, very good at blocking, could catch the ball in big moments and stuff like that. And talented in other ways as well. But Shed's even higher than that. And Shed's kind of your multi-purpose, reliable guy that in a tight crunch, he's going to catch the ball, especially Georgia State. Hello. But we need a guy on the outside, especially that's going to step up and say, hey, throw me the ball. I'll go get it. Coy Moore, Camden Brown, whoever, right?
Javaris Johnson.
VAR is, and that's what they're calling him now. It threw me off because you've got Javarius Johnson and then Tavarish Dotson, who both have VAR in their name. So when Coach was saying VAR, I was like, which one is it? Which one is it, Coach? Come on. And I'm not in the media room, so I don't get those type of things to understand what he's saying. So
I think I love the coach. He will do real good.
Coach Harsin?
Yeah.
Yeah, if people get out of his way, he will do good, I think. I think as long as we stay out of his way, he'll do really well.
And the fan day is next Saturday.
It is. Not this Saturday, but the next. I will be there. Will you be there?
No.
Oh, that's
because
sad.
My mom and dad be going out of town.
Well, unfortunately, we will not be able to see each other then, but I will be there and we will do a post-practice live stream just like we did last year. That was like one of our most popular live streams. This is the weirdest thing ever. I did it from my car and everybody was like, oh, let's get on now. So it's like I always tell you guys on this channel, if you show up, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I got time for maybe one or two more questions. What you got?
Who you think be our 1,000-yard rusher this year?
Well, I think the betting money is Tank. Jarquez, it really comes down to, is he completely healthy, which there's no indication that he's not. A lot of people are very high about Damari Alston and the way he's been doing in camp. A lot of good things being said about that. If the running game gets going the way it has the potential to do, as we know Auburn traditionally does as a running team, then maybe more than one. But I think Tank gets 1,000 yards. If we have a really good offensive running year, maybe Jarquez can as well.
I think the tight ends will do good too.
I'm very excited about that group. There's no reason for me to think this, but I'm just high on Brandon Frazier, maybe just because of that spring game that he had.
Which number is he?
He actually, I should be able to tell you this. I just did the video about it. He should be 87 because we have 84, 85, 86, 87. I almost put that out on Twitter. Fun fact that you don't need. Auburn has those complete numbers.
Who got
wide receivers? Excuse me, tight ends.
Who got number 0?
Coy Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Coy Moore is 0. Yes. TJ's 1 and all that. No 2 this year. There should not be a 2. Anyway. All right, Kevin. Thank you so much for calling, buddy.
War Eagle, Kevin.
Good to hear from you.
Bye.
All right. We got another caller lined up, ready to go here in just a second. Let me just catch up here. And I know there's somebody who's been putting some comments I wanted to say hello to real quick. Blaine says our recruiting is fine. We can't close on good talent because the program appears to be the outside world is a dumpster fire. So those guys that have us in the top 4 schools are ruling us out. For that, we can thank whoever propagated the hit job at the beginning of the year. I mean, yeah, listen, it's not it's a reality that hurts a lot, and it's going to definitely take a while to get that remedied. Winning, as Dusty said earlier, cures all. All right, let's say hello to our second, third, fourth guest tonight, Mr. Thomas Manville. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Kyle. How are y'all this evening?
Doing very well. Just love talking to all of y'all on Wednesday nights, getting a variety of people in here. So a lot of familiar faces, especially. So how are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's
What you
great
got
to
on
be.
your mind tonight?
Well, other than it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, there's a lot of speculation coming out of camp, and I don't think it's all unfounded, but I think we need to pump the brakes. To be honest with you.
Yep. I think it's the nature of social media, right? They find one thing and extrapolate it to the end reaches of positivity and negativity. And there's no, hey, that was awesome. Hey, that was bad. But where is the reality? You know, I've talked about, I haven't done this lately. I'm going to do my analogy with my hands. There is context and then there's emotions. Somewhere in the middle is the reality. It might be a little bit more on the emotional side, like it could be that good or that bad. And sometimes it could be not as simple as we think the context is. It's somewhere in the middle, usually, typically. So you got to find, I hate this phrase, but you got to find the gray area where it kind of normalizes out. So I'm guessing you're alluding mainly to that quarterback situation you talk about that.
Yeah, pretty much. It's we expected one thing with what we knew coming out of spring, and there's nothing wrong with that. Is we're not the coaches, we're the fans, so we don't really know. We don't see the ins and outs of the everyday practice. Now, if TJ's the best bet for us to win, I'm all for it. I want it.
Absolutely,
the best guy on the field. Now, if I don't want them to compete through the first two games of rotating quarterbacks and figuring out who's going to be the best. But if that's what's best for Auburn, I'm for it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I want the best guy out there. And I have no doubts that the best one will be put out there by coach, because that's your job, right? I think that's the funniest thing about this. It's not just this year. It's not last. It's every year. You get people that just think that the coach is going to put the worst guy out there. No, he's going to put the guy out there who is the most healthy, the most productive, who's doing the things that he's supposed to do on and off the whole, if it's TJ, that whole police incident is a little bit unnerving at the time, but it seems not as bad now. He's going to put the best guy out there. And if that doesn't work out, we know for 100% fact that Harsin will fire your butt or bench your butt. So he'll make the changes.
Yeah, you're right. He's not afraid to make the changes. Now, there were a lot of us that said, why didn't you make the change in the Birmingham Bowl? There was no option to make a change. Demetrius was not ready. Right. So if you're thinking that he should have put him in and we would have won that game, you're crazy.
Right.
There was no option. So a guy that practiced with the second team most of the year came in and did fairly well. And now we've talked before about the hitch in TJ's throw. If you look at some of his games from LSU, that hitch wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's a hitch from learning an offensive. Do I do it? Or do I execute? Do I not? If he's the best option, then he's the best option. And I want him to start. If Calzada's the best option, I want him to start. If anybody else is the best option, I want them to start.
Yeah. I think they all present good things. And I think that's the thing that I've tried personally to reiterate whenever we were talking back in the spring, throughout the summer, in here now. Auburn is blessed with 4 good options at quarterback, and people need to wrap their minds around that. This isn't Bo and Joey Gatewood. Bo was the clear choice. That's not a debate anymore. Anybody that tries to argue that now, you probably might get me mad, because that's just an asinine discussion point. But we have 4 options now, and so I don't care who it is. Whoever performs the best in practice, whoever is doing the things on and off the field, whoever leads the team. Because Harsin, you hear him in his press conferences, right? He talks a lot about, I'm watching not just what happens on the field, but what happens when they're on the sideline. Has their guys ready to come in? Who is making the adjustments before the adjustments need to be made? If Zach's not ready to do that, put TJ in there. If TJ, you just can't get it right, give Robbie a shot at it. I'm excited with the options that we have this year and what that can do should somebody get hurt or it's not working out. Because remember when we were all worried when Bo got pulled in Georgia State, it was like, well, even as bad as he played, here we go. And look what TJ did. So I was at that game too. So it was pretty rough.
I don't even want to imagine what it was like to be at that game. That sounds awful.
You want to talk about just hilarity, but also insanity. It was literally like, I can't believe that not only am I witnessing this, but I'm here. Like, how am I in this for this? And then watching us somehow I watched the play the other day. I think it was 4th and 9 from like the 2-yard line or something like that. And he got pushed back because the offensive line was doing their traditional Olay, and then you just see him somehow pull a Bo Nix and squeeze out, and Shed just like, I'm right here, baby. Give it to me. So it was definitely interesting. I know we're switching gears here, but Ben Patton transferred. I know that's not a big ordeal for a lot of people. You got to admit that kid, that's a man among men right there, what he did in the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, he was absolutely solid. He really was. And I hate that he's gone. I do. He'll do well wherever he goes because he's a solid kicker. But we did just bring in McPherson, that's the #1 overall kicker, so I'm not super upset.
Yep.
Plus, we still have Carlson. So
Yep.
I'm guessing that it was a case of Carlson's recovering from a very critical injury for a kicker, an ACL, and is still able to do what he does. And there's still room for improvement, but he ain't bad. He's never been bad, but we still got another guy behind him that's the best available. So why not take it? I'm okay with it. I wish Ben Patton the best. I really do. I hope you find success wherever you land.
Yeah.
But I wish you were an Auburn Tiger.
I love that the kid's moment was in the Iron Bowl. 49 yards. Let me just tell this quick story. So I don't know if I've ever talked about this. I was at the Iron Bowl. My mom surprised me for my Christmas present with Iron Bowl tickets for me and my wife. Sitting up in the upper deck, just right there at the front of it, and on the side of the field goal. I'm a former kicker. I cannot watch Auburn kickers in those type of moments. I can't. Because I've actually had a similar situation where the opportunity was lost, at my own hand. That's a little longer story. Won't get into that. When that reality became true, we had to kick that field goal. And Ben Patton, love the kid, but he's the backup for a reason, right? You're like, there's no way Ben Patton makes a 49-yard field goal in overtime in the Iron Bowl to keep us in this game. And so I turn around, I kneel down, I cover my head and my ears, and I tell my wife, just tell me when it's over. I cannot watch this happen. And I hear screaming, and I'm like, I knew it. I couldn't watch it. And then she's like, no, he made it. So I'm just like in disbelief and relief that I didn't have to witness, my worst nightmare happen for that kid. So I was very happy for him.
No, I fully understand that sentiment. 97 Jarrett Holmes in the Iron Bowl. I had to put my head in the couch and get it over with before I knew the end of that game. It just, Auburn kickers drive me crazy.
Yeah, they have a tendency to give you a lot of highs, but a lot of lows. John Vaughn is the quintessential for that. Other kickers as well have had their moments. We have had a great history of punters and kickers and things like that. None greater than Damon Duvall, frankly. But we've been very blessed to have some great talent. And McPherson looks like he's going to be that next guy coming up. So I'm happy that Anders chose to come back and get himself another year to get himself healthy, hopefully, and maybe get into an NFL team down the line so that McPherson can be here for 5 years with a redshirt year. That's the best case scenario you can have, is you get that kicker, the new one, in your other guy's senior year, so that you can have 5 years of development, growth, strength training on the leg and everything. So it was a good thing to see him come in. Sad to lose the other guy, but it is what it is. Everybody's got to take their opportunities. I got time for like another topic or question if you got one.
O-line. There's a lot of movement at guard and center, but there's not a lot of movement at tackle at all.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it seems that Killian Zaire and Austin Troxell have solidified their positions on the outside of our line. I'm good with it. I'm very happy about that.
Right.
That's where we struggled. But I'm really happy about the competition at guard and center. Now, again, I mentioned it in the chat. If Brahms can't get it done, it's his job. if he's injured and can't play, it's his job to get the next man up ready to get him to where he knows every single call, where he can direct the offensive line the way it needs to be directed so we can be successful in the run game and the pass game. A center's job is to call out, hey, I'm pretty sure this guy's blitzing. This guy's in a different spot than he should be. They need to watch a lot of film and see a lot of fronts in practice with the scout team to know where somebody's moving. And, this guy's 3-4 inches outside of where he should be. The center needs to know that, and they need to be able to call it out. So if Brahms can't play, it's his job to get the next man up and the man behind him ready to do his job. And that's going to hinge on success on the offensive line.
It is. Unfortunately, with the Brahms situation, it looks like the growing pains they're going to have to go through are going to come much quicker if he is not as healthy as we had hoped he would be. That's kind of what's plagued us a lot this year. Is not only were we having trouble getting it figured out in the offensive line, then maybe when we did, the injuries started happening, and so there was just never this foundation to fall back upon. There's a lot of depth in terms of upperclassmen depth there. Hopefully all these guys are ready to assume their positions, because my goodness, I'm so tired of being, I know it doesn't seem like it because I harp on the offensive line every week. It feels like I'm so tired of harping on them, and I'm ready to finally walk on here after a game and say, guys, I got nothing but praise for this offensive line. I'm ready for it. And I believe these guys can do it. And I believe that they have the capability and the talent to do it. And even if they run into some injury problems, I got to believe, I hope that this is the year that they finally get it done.
Yeah. I believe the same way that you do. If there's a year, it's going to be this year because it's their last chance.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be the year, they're going to do it. If it's not, we know exactly what to expect.
Yep. Absolutely. Thomas, thank you for calling in tonight, buddy. I appreciate from hearing you as always.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great evening.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right. Lots of great callers tonight. A lot of our regular faces. It's always good to that. I mean this, guys, from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot when I hear from all of you here in the comments, but when you call in as well, that means a whole lot, because it means that you took time out of your day to spend it with me and to just hang out, because you guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. All right. In closing, I'll take some last minute comments and questions here. The phone lines are closed now because it's about time for me to head off. Normally, lately I've not had to rush off, but tonight I do. So if you have a last minute comment or question you'd like addressed, get it in there. We'll kind of rapid fire here at the end. As always, check out links in the description for ways that you can help support the content. In there, you'll find links to things like the Booster Club. You've heard from a lot of our Booster Club members tonight. Patreon.com/E2C Network. $1 gets you in the door, different tiers, different perks. But if you don't want to go over there, you can also be a channel member here. I guess I bring that up. Have little icons next to your name, access to emojis and things like that. Every once in a while, we'll do something a little special for just the channel members. But that is just a $1 tier, nothing else. If you just want to throw a buck at us to help keep the lights on, that is a huge help. I mean that we are primarily a viewer, listener, subscriber, whatever format you consume our content, supported entity. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Check out those other links for ways that you can help support the content here. Now, Thomas, I will say I don't have time to do this, and I talk to you a lot in the comments, and you kind of tend to be on the negative side of things. So I'm not going to have time to get into it with you tonight on these things, but I see some other people are addressing with you. It seems like y'all having a reasonable conversation, but I'm not following exactly what's going on in there. And like I said, kind of winding things down here. I thought there was one more question that I wanted to hit, and I cannot remember. Oh, this was it. When is the last time we had a fullback? Jay Prosh, a true fullback. Maybe Chandler Cox. I think Cox was after Prosh, I believe, but Jay Prosh to me was the last great fullback. Dude killed people. We don't need them anymore in this set, but you use guys in that format like a Sean Jackson. Yeah, really those type of guys. So if you need one, you just don't have a true fullback these days, at least for Auburn, it seems like. You did not spam us, Blaine. Thank you for participating. Tomorrow night, live, 8 p.m. Be here. We're going to do the second half preview of the season, game 7 to 12. Hope you all can hang out with us, and we're going to talk it through here tonight. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. Thank you for spending your Wednesday night for us. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle, as I try to find my way to my little, here we go.